everyone, it's Marianne and welcome to Plantmas Day 4. Today I'm going to be talking about my 4 wishlist plants for 2021. But while I do that, I'm going to recreate some of our Thanksgiving leftovers. If you follow me on Instagram, on IG Reels, I posted how I turned the leftover turkeys into turkey chili. Today what I'm going to do is to do something about our leftover mac and cheese and some leftover mashed potatoes. So with the mac and cheese, nothing too fancy or a big leap. I'm going to turn it to deep fried mac and cheese, and for the mashed potatoes I'm going to turn it into tater tots. So the good thing about this one is we don't have to eat it right away. I could store it in the freezer after I make it. So this is just a way to not waste food and not waste any leftovers from Thanksgiving. So yeah, I'm going to talk about my wishlist plants as I make this deep fried mac and cheese and the mashed potato tater tots. So for either one, I need basically the same ingredients. I have some panko over here, some eggs, this is cornstarch mixed with some salt and pepper, and of course the leftover mashed potato and the mac and cheese. So let me go wash my hands and I'm gonna get started on this. So for my wish list plants, I only chose 4 this year because as you watch my fall plant collection video, I already have over 100 plants in my plant collection, and I was actually truly shocked by that. I'm going to talk about it more in day 5 of my 12 days of Plantmas, but I'm limiting it to 4 because I just want to make sure that any new additions to my plant collection from here out is just plants that I really want to have. I never made this before, by the way, so I'm not exactly sure how this is going to turn out, but I will link down in the description the recipe that I used for this one, but it's relatively easy. Start with a couple eggs. And just beat them. And then stir this one a little bit. According to the recipe, the mac and cheese should be refrigerated and it has to be like solid like this for this to work. Basically just roll it up into a ball, dip it in cornstarch, dip it in the egg, then drop it in the panko, and use my hands at this point, and yeah. So that's pretty much it. So my first wish list plant is the Epipremnum pinnatum variegata. So I really want to get this one, and at this point I think I want it more than the Monstera alba variegata. Of course I would still love to have that if I had my chance to get it for a good price, but right now I have my sights set on the Epipremnum variegata, and that is something that I really want to get next year. It would be nice to also get the non-variegated version, the Epipremnum pinnatum, but if I have to choose between the two, I'd rather get the Epipremnum pinnatum variegata. Kind of like with the sleeping pothos, there's a variegated version and a non-variegated version of it, and I was able to get the Shangri Ulala, the sleeping pothos that is variegated. So I think I'd rather get the Epipremnum variegata pothos. The prices of it has been creeping up because it is gaining some popularity and it's not as commonly sold in the US yet, but I think they will be by next year, and I hope the prices drop a little bit because it is creeping up, but it's still a lot cheaper than getting the Monstera alba. And my next wish list plant for 2021, and this is a wish list plant that I already included in my wish list plants last year. And from that list, if you haven't watched it yet, I'll link it somewhere up here and also down in the description. I think most of the wish list plants that I mentioned in that video I pretty much got, except probably this is one of them that I didn't get, which is the Hoya polynura or the Hoya fishtail. So this one is still pretty much hard to get in the US, and I've been monitoring Etsy for it, but it doesn't really come that often on Etsy, and when they do, the prices is like way too high, and I don't mind getting a cutting of it because I have a pretty good success rate with propagating Hoya, but it's a Hoya that's quite hard to find right now or at least the past year or so, or at least since I've started my plant journey. But I hope to get it next year, even just like a cutting of it. I'm not a really Hoya person. I have my Hoya caryi and a couple of Hoya carnosas, but that is a Hoya that I have my sights on. There's another one that I have my sights on. I can't pronounce its name. I'll just put it here and the photo up here. This one is also really pretty. If I see it, I would try to get it because I have been told it also has popped up in garden centers. But as far as a wish list plant goes, it is the Hoya fishtail or the Hoya polynura that is on my wish list for 2021. So I don't really know how other YouTubers do it, like talk and do something at the same time, because I can't. As you can see, I barely made my second mac and cheese ball. I realized by the time you watch this, Thanksgiving has been like almost 2 weeks ago, but I am making this the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. So these leftovers are still very much okay. Mashed potato tater tots, same ingredients, just a slightly different process. You don't have to use a mixer, it just makes my life easier for me. So I'm just gonna put the leftover. This is a bit more than what the recipe called for, so I'm gonna up the ingredients list a bit. Alright, add the egg. I'll make that 3. I'm gonna use the paddle to mix it instead of the regular whisk. And so yeah, I think this is good. I don't want to use another egg because I don't want it to become too watery. I think this one's good. And after you make the mixture, it is actually a lot easier. Now I just have to scoop the mixture and try to create a ball like I did with the mac and cheese. And then drop it on the breadcrumbs. And that's pretty much it. So my third wishlist plant is a variegated banana plant. I've seen it pop up in Instagram in recent months, and I've seen it for sale on Etsy as well. The price could be a little bit steep. I imagine it will become steeper as it becomes more popular, but I'm very intrigued by it because we do have a banana plant that we grow outside, and it grew pretty well despite us being in Maryland. It has died out now because the weather is getting cold, but it will come back in spring because we had that plant since last year, and that's what happened. It died out over the winter, it came back in the spring. And I've seen people say that they have found the variegated banana fruit being sold in their local Asian markets, and I haven't seen one yet in mine, and we have quite a few Asian markets in our area. But I'm very interested in getting the variegated banana plant. I don't think it will bear fruit for me because the regular banana tree that we have don't do that. Weather here in Maryland is not really suitable for that, so the most it could give us is foliage and the banana leaves that we occasionally use for boodle fights or kamayan. If you're Filipino, you know what I'm talking about. That is my third wishlist plant for 2021, the variegated banana plant. And I'm going to try to deep fry the ones that I've made so far just to see if it's worth all this effort, because this is taking quite a while. This is a lot more work than I thought it was going to be. So I'm gonna taste the concoction that I made. This is the deep fried mac and cheese, and this is the tater tot. This one took several trial and error. So the best thing to do is to pan fry it, not to deep fry it, so that it will hold the shape. And it got a little bit cool already because I had to do laundry in between. But yeah, this is a tater tot. Tastes pretty good. Could use some ketchup, but it tastes pretty good. It's the mac and cheese. It's not as gooey because, like I said, it cooled down already. But here's what it looks like. Pretty good. a lot more effort than I wanted to make, but pretty good. So the fourth and last wish list plant that I have is none other than the Anthurium clarinervium. So I do think I also had this in my last year's wish list. I still haven't gotten it this year. There were two opportunities that I could have got it at a really good price. One from the Facebook group that I was in, they were only selling it for like $70 or $80, but I didn't have the funds back then. And I think another time when I was in Chicago, it was still a lot more than I wanted to pay for, and I think I saw it a couple times in local nurseries here in the DC area. I love the plant. It has been my wish list plant ever since I started my plant journey. So I know it's a plant that I really want, but I still couldn't justify paying more than $100 for it. And so maybe next year, since I'm more picky with the plants that I'm going to buy for next year, even though I said that this year and I doubled my plant collection. But yes, the Anthurium clarinervium is still in my wish list plants, and I know there's a lot more Anthuriums out there that's also getting more popularity aside from the clarinervium, which is the first one people kind of really clamored for when it comes to rare Anthuriums. But I still want the Anthurium clarinervium. I don't know if I'm as interested in the other varieties of Anthurium. I think I just really want that one as part of my plant collection. That's it for my 4 wish list plants for 2021. The Epipremnum pinnatum variegata, the Hoya polynuria or Hoya fishtail, the... what else did I say? Oh, the variegated banana plant, and the Anthurium clarinervium. So what about you? What are your wish list plants? Let me know down in the comments, and thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you at day 5 of 25 days of Plantmas. Bye! How do people do mukbangs and talk at the same time and not have the food all over their teeth and mouth?